Okay, just verifying that everyone can see the screen that I'm sharing.
We can. Yep, you're good.
Perfect. All right. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Antonio Zamran. I am the supervisor of accounting for Youth and Workforce Program. I will go on here to the next slide. So the agenda this morning, and we will be going through it. Rather efficiently. That's the goal anyway. Um, so the welcome and introductions, I'll actually just introduce the staff, the finance staff. We'll have the objectives. We'll be going over the budget forms that we have for the delegate agencies, allowable costs, guidance and reminders, the budget revision process, which at this time, the majority of the initial budgets have been completed, and we'll be going through the budget revision process here soon. Most of the common budget revision areas, this way it can assist with the for those agencies that are still completing initial budgets or the budget revision process that is bound to come up. Policy change reminders and I-supplier trainings, common voucher areas. We'll go through that briefly as well with a couple of slides for those reminders, budget revision, relinquishment, and vouchering deadlines. And then, if there are any questions, please ensure to include it in the chat, and then we will compile the questions and answers for you in a document as well. Um, a quick introduction with the finance team. There have been a couple of changes. So Mahida Sishak, she is our Deputy Commissioner of Finance. Nicole Roberts, she is now our Director of Finance. Um, Once again, I am Antonio Zamran. We have Darnetta Anderson, our accountant for some of the youth programs. Tina Ing, which is our accountant for another portion of our youth programs, and Marifani Pacheco, which is our accounting technician. I definitely the agencies have been working. Some agencies have been working with Darnetta, others have been working with Tina with great communication and feedback as well. And Marifani is the individual that reviews all the vouchers, and she's able to assist with a little bit of that technical assistance and answer some of those questions as well in regards to um, the vouchers. Um, so the objectives would be to provide just an overview of the standard budget form and the budget revision process. Definitely, this is targeted for those staff. Um, for the majority of the staff, it may be a refresher, but I do understand that there are delegate agencies that have newer staff on board, so this will definitely assist with that portion of becoming more familiar with the budget revision form and an initial budget as well. And of course, to provide technical support and technical assistance to our delegate agencies to prepare and complete those budgets and budget revisions. We're definitely here to assist when there are any questions. So please feel free to reach out to us. Um, the purpose of the budget form is to ensure that there's consistency in the submission and collection of the budgets and expenses that are being requested. Um, and that's the reason why the budget form is forwarded to all agencies at the beginning of the year, just to ensure that it's consistent amongst the various programs. The one thing that you have noticed since you've already completed the initial budget and moving forward with the budget revision is that the fields that are highlighted in yellow would be the items that would be required to be submitted by the delegate agency on the Excel spreadsheet. So what I will do now is there's going to be a couple of slides with the instructions and the details in regards to the budget form. I'm actually just going to move forward with the budget form and go through those items. Um, at the end of the presentation, definitely this PowerPoint can be shared with everyone, which will have, for example, the details of the budget forms and the items that I'm going through as we're presenting them. Um, for the budget form, there is a budget summary. Form 1 is basically the budget summary. Form 2 is the personnel budget, which also includes additional attachments. Form 2A, 2B, and 2C if needed, if there are more personnel that do not fit on Form 2. And Form 3 is for the non-personnel budget. Um, I will jump over to the budget form. So for those of you who have completed the initial budgets, this is exactly what the budget form looks like on Form 1. This is the first page of the summary. The budget form is divided up into the three sections. So we have the header up on top, which is basically the delegate agency information. And this information can be pulled, the majority of this information can be pulled from your award letter that is distributed by our contracts team. We do have the budget lines in the following section. And this is where the totals carry over from the other spreadsheets into this first form. And we have the signature portion at the bottom. Um, the delegate agency prints the name, signature, and then this will be my signature once it's reviewed and approved here at DFSS, which will be prior to going over to the comptroller's office for their final review and approval. So please ensure that the budget form that you are using that has either been shared or been pulled from the city website does have a Xamarin at the bottom. This will be for the youth programs. Uh, so just going through a couple of the slides here. Um, for the header information, the delegate agency will enter the name as it is represented or shown on the award letter. The program name, very important. This program name will be taken from the award letter as well. Please ensure that it doesn't differ as we are reviewing the budgets. If they move on to the comptroller's office for approval, it may come back stating that the program name doesn't match the award letter by the contract team, that is. So please ensure that this information matches the individual that is preparing the name, their email address, so that this way, if there are any questions, we are able to email directly and communicate directly with the individual that's filling out the budget form, so that this way it can move more efficiently through the process and we're able to request for those changes a lot sooner. Supplier site number, which is the delegate agency's federal employee number, this budget allocation year, which would be for the 2025 budget year. For the department will be 50 Family and Support Services. Please do not include the agency's name within this section. The contract number can be pulled from the award letter as well, along with the contract term. The contract term is different than the budget term. So just keep that in mind. And then the budget term, again, located on the award letter as well. The release number, section M, jumping back to this, will be blank. The release number is actually provided to the delegate agencies on the approved budget once the budget is approved by the comptroller's office and posted to the city website. Once a budget is approved, an automatic email will be issued out to the delegate agency to notify them that it has been approved, and you are able to obtain the approved budget from the city website. Once you download that approved budget, the release number will appear. This release number will be used to submit your vouchers for the vouchering period. So please keep that in mind. For the corporate budgets, this will be NA. For some of the other grants, there may be information that is needed here. The funding strip is something that we here at in the finance department will complete. And the unique entity identifier. This may be something new that has been seen by some of the delegate agencies. This is only required for the federal grants. For the corporate grants, they are not. So you can leave this blank again. So this will be, if it applies to your particular funding grant, then it will be entered. If not, you can put NA, which wouldn't apply for those corporate budgets. Let's see here. For the budget allocation, in this particular cell, and the one thing with the budget form is that there are formulas across the budget of the Excel spreadsheet. And this is how this particular amount is appears as a formula from the other spreadsheets. So you won't be able to initially type in the allocated amount from the award letter. Just ensure that this amount ties to the amount on the award letter, uh, and then it does not differ. And for the descriptions here for the 099 account, these descriptions will carry over from Form 3. So once it's typed into Form 3, which is the non-personnel form, um, this will be automatically filled in. Um, Grant award share, it's all populated from the other Excel spreadsheets, other share as well, and then the total cost, which will add the grant award share and the other share with the total cost. And then very important at the bottom, just ensure that there is the budget form is signed. There are times where we do have to kick back the budget form because the signature was omitted. So please ensure to complete that. Um, at this time, we're actually going to jump over to Form 2. And again, I will go through details. These slides do have the details. So once you receive it, you'll be able to go back to it. But I'm just going to show um, the form. So this is Form 2, which is our personnel form. Starting with, uh, um, we'll start with the very top again, just to ensure again, the year will be 2025. The number of the pay periods in the agency's fiscal year can be 24, can be 26. Um, what I did with Form 2, this is, I was able to split the screen. So this is the top half of the form. The second half of the form, it includes the fringes. So we'll go over the top half first. So this will be the position title. Please ensure to include the title that you are including with this with your budget, with your funding. The one thing that I would recommend is do not include specific individuals' names on the position title. I would just keep it as is, just with the title. There have been some budgets that we have seen, for example, where it may have executive director, and then we have the specific name. But if there is a change throughout the year, then the agency will not be able to voucher um, due to it being a specific name. So if there's another individual that comes into the program from September, in the month of September, and the contract or the budget is still going through December 31st, um, a budget revision will be required. So my recommendation is just to keep it as the title. Uh, in general, the column number 2 would be the number of employees that you're including that you're budgeting for. In this particular case, we only have one executive director and one program coordinator, lead teaching artist. The annual salary, column section 3. For column 4 and 5, I do want to specify, please ensure that column 4 and 5 are the same, that the columns do not differ. Column 4 plays a role. It is formulated to column 10, which is the maximum compensation. I do understand that this can be sometimes with the wording confusing, but I definitely want to emphasize that column 4, not column 5, is a part of this formula here. So if taking a look at the program coordinator, if this particular program coordinator is getting paid only on a monthly basis, then it's okay to put 12. They'll get paid once a month. And this will formulate with the maximum compensation. If the executive director, if they're getting paid bi-monthly, then it would reflect 24, and then it would be calculated correctly with the maximum compensation. So definitely, this is where many of the questions do come from, which I completely understand how the questions come about and why. So I definitely just would like to emphasize that just ensure to keep these two columns the same. They don't have to necessarily it's definitely reflected based on the pay periods for the position. Um, if the individual is an hourly employee, then the hourly amount would be here instead of the salary, and then the number of hours per pay period would be under column 6. Column 7, the time budgeted on the project, the position start date and end date, depending on when this position begins. Please ensure, very important for the position start dates and end dates, that they do align with the budget period. So for example, if this particular budget started April 1st, which I know is common for some of the summer programs, if the program started April 1st and is going through September 31st, then this definitely would have to be revised and corrected. Because if it is submitted, um, the any vouchers prior to April 1st based on the budget would be rejected. So please ensure that the position start date and end date is within the budget timeframe for this specific program. The maximum compensation. We do see a majority of the rejections or deletions based on the maximum compensation. I'll actually come back to this within a couple of seconds as well as I go through the form. But for the maximum compensation, this is the maximum amount that you're able to invoice. In this example, for the executive director on a per pay period. It cannot exceed this particular amount. If it does exceed, then it can possibly be a deletion based on the approved budget. Um, Same thing with the second individual here, this amount. If they're receiving a monthly, if they're being paid on a monthly basis, the January payroll cannot exceed this particular amount, for example, based on our budget form. So this is definitely very important to when you are filling out your voucher to have your budget, your approved budget next to you, so that this way you are able to compare and ensure that you are vouching correctly instead of receiving deletions um, for that submitted voucher. For the grant award share, this is how much um, of the amount will be budgeted for the executive director. These last two columns, columns 12 and 13, are formulated so that this way, if the hourly, or I'm sorry, the annual salary is greater than what the grant award share is being budgeted for, then the difference will be in the other share, and then the total program costs will be reflected in column 13. Um, Job responsibilities. This is one area as well where sometimes it is left blank for the job responsibilities. Please ensure that it is that you summarize the responsibilities of the position title. We don't need a very extensive or detailed list of responsibilities. The job responsibilities should fit within this cell. If they do not, again, just please summarize it within a couple of sentences in regards to the position. If the lines are cut off within the cell, again, there is just minimum space to include job responsibilities. If the cell is cut off, that is one of the reasons why we would send it back to the agency because it will not be approved um, if sentences, if lines are cut off, it will be sent back to us in a rejection. Coming back to the maximum compensation. The one thing I would recommend, due to this being where the majority of the deletions or rejections are coming from on a voucher, my recommendation would be to include the phrase "time varies" within the job responsibilities. This will provide some flexibility for the maximum compensation amount that's being vouchered. Um, if the time, because I do understand that there are staff and um, for example, when the program is just getting started, the hours might vary compared to when the program is in full force in the middle of the summer. And that may vary some of the hours for the staff. Um, Including the time varies will provide that flexibility where the beginning of the program or the beginning of the budget may not be vouchered as much as toward the middle or maybe the completion of the budget when things are starting to get wrapped up for the programs. So that's definitely highly recommended to include it in the job responsibilities. If it is not, then definitely this will be the maximum amount that you can be vouchering for. And if the voucher exceeds this particular amount for the specific position, that's where the rejection will come. Again, all of these cells are formulated and the totals are represented at the bottom. Um, we do have the column here on the left. So if form 2A, 2B, and 2C is being used, the totals will be carried over from those forms as well. Jumping down to this is the second half of the personnel page for Fringe. Um, with this particular budget form for 2025, these cells are formulated and it doesn't provide us with the option to enter these totals. So this is automatic with 6.2% and the 1.45% for line 17 and 18 for state unemployment insurance. Again, anything that is highlighted The delegate agency will be able to enter those totals, and please ensure that the calculations are reflected as such. There are times when this is left blank, so please ensure that calculations are entered as such. Another very important point here for lines 21 and 22, please enter the description that is being budgeted for. If you're using lines 21 and 22, there are times where they are left blank, but there is a calculation here, so that we have to go back to the delegate agency and request for that information. Again, there's that delay as well from submitting your budget form to the comptroller's office. So we will continue on. And again, the recommendations that I'm making as well are provided within the slideshow or the details for the lines as well. But I just think it's more effective just to go through it and pinpoint the items. So this is just an example of forms 2A, 2B, and 2C that are there for if Form 2 is not enough for the personnel that the delegate agency is using. Those forms are available. And this is an example of Form 2A. And again, it just continues on the same format, the same method. And then these totals are carried over to the Form 2 for the personnel. I will continue on here. This is the information we just covered from the Excel spreadsheet. Some more details. We will continue on. Again, this is where I was referring to column 14 for the job responsibilities in the form. If you just enter the phrase time varies along with the job responsibilities for that particular position, that provides a little bit of that flexibility for that maximum compensation column form 2.
오, 시각하라.
And again, there's just more details. So everybody will receive a copy of the PowerPoint. And now Form 3, which is the non-personnel budget. We'll go through it again in more details for this one. So these are the lines that are for the non-personnel. We have the operating technical, which is 0-100. It does represent the grant award share amount that the delegate agency would like to budget for operating and technical. And the total cost will be formulated with the remaining amount will be formulated with the other share, split with the other share. The one thing that's very important here with the non-personnel is the total cost cannot exceed the grant award share. So please ensure, because there shouldn't be any negative numbers in the column for the other share. In this particular example, grant award share is 2250. Other share is 750, total cost is 3000. So again, just ensure that there are no negative numbers in the other share column, and then that means that you're on the right track with budgeting for these lines. The description and justifications, very important. Again, just another reminder, just ensure that these cells are not, or that these lines are not cut off within the cells when the budget is submitted in PDF form. If it is, then this is another reason why we all have to go back to the delegate agency to, again, summarize some of these items so that they fit within the cell, so that when we submit it to the comptroller's office, we'll have no concerns about having them approve the budget based on Form 3, that is. Travel line, professional and technical services, 0-140. For the travel line, this particular travel line is for the delegate agency staff. It is not for the youth participants. It is not for the bus rental cost. This is only for staff that are visiting different sites, mileage, parking, Uber, again, for staff. Materials and supplies, 0-300. Equipment, 0-400. This one is not to be used by the youth program, so it should be left blank at all times with no dollars budgeted. For the indirect cost, there was a change this year with the corporate funding, where the option now for the de minimis rate is up to 15%. So just wanted to make that clear, where for the ARP funded budgets, those are still at 10% or up to 10% for the ARP funding. But for corporate funding, it is up to 15%. For this particular spreadsheet, there is a drop-down menu here to the right that you are able to choose either option A, B, C, or D, and we'll definitely go into in more detail as well. I do have a slide that reflects those options. But for the most part, just giving you an example here, if my delegate agency were to choose 15% for the de minimis rate, then it would be option A. I would budget accordingly, total cost, and then I would include here the name of my agency for the indirect cost. This is where I was stating where the agency would be able to enter the description for the 099 line. This description will carry over to Form 1. So please ensure to complete this as well. So in this particular example, we have the field trips and a description of what this budgeted amount will be used for. Bus rental for field trips, for example, would go on the 099 line. And stipends, youth stipends. There is another slide where I will show the attachment name for the youth wage calculations, where you won't have to put all the detail here, but if there are additional items that you would like to include in the job description, please feel free as well. If it's only for stipends and this amount will be reflected on attachment A, then this would be good enough. See attachment A with the youth wage calculation on it. But again, if there are more items for this dollar amount that's being budgeted for, then please include as well. Or this is more so for Form 3 for some of the justifications and allowable costs for the 0-100. Again, just a couple of items for 0-100 if you're leasing a van. This will be included within the 0-100. Audits, rental of equipment, insurance. Again, these are just some of the items that will be placed on here. And just moving on down to professional technical 0-140, consultants, subcontractors, coordinators, instructors. If including coordinators or instructors, this is definitely very important on this line. Remember that this is someone who is not on payroll in your agency. Otherwise, they will go under the personnel. The individuals that are in the 0-140, that are being budgeted for 0-140 cannot be on Form 2 as a part of your personnel. They are completely different individuals. So please ensure that they're not included in the personnel page. If they are included on the personnel, then they should not be accounted for, budgeted for under the professional technical services of 0-140.
Antonio, we have a question in the chat before we get too far. We may want to.
Yes, absolutely.
If you could go back to the Form 2, I believe it is.
Sure. Give me 1 minute.
Right. Yeah.
This one here, the French.
I believe so. Someone asked, could you repeat, did you say any expenses under travel are for staff only? And any travel related to participants under, should be under other/field trips? For example, bus rental.
Yes, correct. I'm sorry. So we'll go back to it. That's Form 3. So yes, you are correct.
Form 3, yeah.
The travel 0-200 is only being budgeted, being used for staff only. For field trips, there are bus rental for field trips. That will be under 0-999. Also, travel for youth. I know sometimes agencies provide that travel. That does go under 0-99 as well. 0-200 is only to be used for staff on the for the program. Okay, so I'll be continue. Hopefully, I was able to answer that. So I'll continue on. In here, travel 0-200. It's only for staff travel, mileage, parking, Uber, and Lyft. Any transportation costs for youth will go under 0-999. An example for the 0-300 account, materials and supplies as far as what can be budgeted for, office supplies, program supplies, gasoline gift card, no more than $25 for the youth program, food-related costs for participants. Definitely when delegate agencies are budgeting for food-related costs, I would definitely recommend to use this specific language please don't include snacks within that justification. Food-related costs for participants would suffice. There has been some confusion in the past in regards to, or some conversations here in regards to identifying snacks or food. Food-related costs for participants would include the snacks as well. So that would be the specific line to be included for the budget. Let's see here. Keep in mind, Chicago Public agencies are not eligible to distribute gas cards for youth. Again, when conducting intake, screen your youth to gauge if they will be needing the gas cards or venture cards instead, because they have their own vehicle and they will be using it to get to work. And then we do have a tracking sheet for the gift cards or gas cards that we will be sharing as well, to ensure that there's accountability for those gift cards and how they are being distributed and utilized. Here is the indirect cost. So as I stated from Form 3, this is more detailed. I just want to begin with stating that the ARP funded budgets will be using the 10% de minimis rate or federally approved rate, if they have one, for the indirect cost. The up to 15% de minimis rate will be for the corporate funded budgets. So I definitely want to differentiate the two. We have the 4 options, so please ensure that when you are choosing your indirect rate, if you are electing to decline the indirect cost recovery, please ensure option D, which is the option 4. Please ensure not to leave all 4 options within that cell. Definitely, it's required to choose whichever one the delegate agency is utilizing for the specific budget. If you are using option 2, please include the rate along with your federally approved letter as well when submitting for the budget. If you are submitting for the federally approved rate, we are required to submit that letter to the comptroller's office along with the budget that is being submitted. So please keep that in mind. For the 099 line, again, just some examples of what can be included within the description and justifications. If an agency is budgeting for a field trip admission, rental field trips, venture cards, please show the calculation for the venture cards, number of youth times the value of the venture cards times the number of weeks, which I understand will be included within that amount. Gift cards as well. Show the number of youth times the number of the gift card amount. And another item that can be under youth wages is attachment A, which will show the breakout and the calculation for the youth that are being budgeted for under that specific line. Coaches as well. There will be an attachment B that is accompanied with the budget form that can be used for coaches, coordinators, instructors' wages. Again, just a reminder, these coaches, coordinators, and instructors that go under 0999 are not a part of the personnel Form 2 line. They are separate. If they are under the personnel Form 2 line, then they should not be under your 0999 account. And at this point, I'll actually hand it over to program staff just to go over, summarize very briefly the allowable costs.
Thanks, Antonio. This is just information that folks should have received. The allowable costs do vary by the program model that you are submitting a budget for. So all of the staff have shared this information with program folks. And so if that has not made it to you, we will share these out when we send the follow-up. But there is very specific information within each program model around costs for food for participants or gift cards or travel for participants, things that Antonio has mentioned, but there are some particular instances where each program model has something different. So just want to make sure that you all are aware that these exist if you do not, and then to contact your youth service coordinator if you have questions or if you're unsure in which of the accounts or which of the lines each of the items that you are putting into your budget belongs. So I'm not sure if you have another allowable costs.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so there's an enrichment and mentoring one. These are the scan model allowable costs. Again, these are specific information for participants and for the program itself. And so you should reach out to your program contact here at DFSS if you have specific questions about these. There's one for
Okay.
GEMS, one for scan, and one for enrichment and mentoring.
Thank you, Maria.
Sure.
This is what I mentioned in regards to attachment A. I'm pretty sure this is the familiar additional form for the budget form, or additional tab that is. So this is where the details will be placed in regards to how much will be budgeted for the 0999 in regards to, this is an example for the youth participant wages. So the details will be placed here on the right-hand side, along with the other amounts as well. And this would be the agency total wage expense at the bottom, which will be placed under the 0999, for example. We have attachment B. This is the one for the coaches, other instructors. Again, as long as they're not located under the personnel tab form 2, then this is where they'll be budgeted for with the details included. And just additional guidance and budget form reminders. We do have the gift and gas card and transportation policy that was updated January 1st, 2024 for more insight as well. The areas as we went through the slides, the areas that are highlighted in yellow would be the areas in which data can be inputted for those cells. Verify all budget pages are properly formatted and legible. Please do not cut off descriptions or pages, as I've stated um, throughout the PowerPoint. Verify that the correct number of budget pages are included. For the budget revision, we will be going through that as well in a couple of minutes, and what's required for the budget revision. But in this particular case, there is an additional form that will be included for the budget revisions. Verify the heading of Form 1 and Form 1A. I will be just modifying, revising this really after the training before the presentation goes out. For this year, it's actually Form 1R, but it is the same form, but it was just retitled as Form 1R. So I will make that change. So when I refer to Form 1R, it is Form 1A, as what some agencies are used to from previous years. Verify the description justification for each total cost that is filled out on Form 3. Regarding the percentage requirement for administrative costs for specific programs, I do understand different programs have different requirements for the administrative costs. So please check in with your YSC for confirmation of that percentage. The 2025 form, as I stated at the beginning of the training, please ensure that it has the respective fund manager's name on the form. So for youth, it will have A. Zamaron. So please ensure it does tie. The budget, again, the signature is one of the items that sometimes the budget gets kicked back for. So just make sure that the signature is presented on Form 1 and it is legible as well. Frequently monitor your spending levels to determine if a budget revision is necessary. We are going to be having the budget deadlines toward the end of the presentation. So again, just continue to monitor those levels. Please contact your program liaison for review and approval to submit a budget revision. All initial budgets and budget revisions will be going to the program staff for review before they come over to finance. So please ensure to forward those to your program liaison. Delegates must reach out to the program liaison if they have any questions about approved supportive services requests. This is the tracking sheet that is to be used for the gift and gas card or transportation. So please ensure that this particular tracking sheet is in place. And it definitely has the different details for each column. But just definitely wanted to ensure that everyone understands and knows what the tracking sheet looks like. So that if you don't have it, then please ensure to reach out with the tracking sheet for the tracking sheet. Where can you obtain your approved budget? Once the budget is approved, you are able to download it from the city's website by using your global PO number. So it will not be your release number. In this instance, it will be your PO number that is used. You'll be able to click on the contracts tab here highlighted in red click on that, click on the PO number, click on search. The agency will, the delegate agency name will appear on the following page, and then you are able to obtain your approved budget. Again, the approved budget will have your release number on there, as well as the funding strip that is required when vouchering, when starting to voucher. Those are the two items that are definitely very important to begin the vouchering process. Obtain your approved budget. This is the Form 1R, which I stated for those agencies that have been submitted budget revisions in the past. Before it was Form 1A this year. Sorry about that. This year it's Form 1R. So a lot of the information in the header portion of the form is again auto-populated from Form 1. That information does carry over. Very important. The approved budget column on Form 1R. These are actually going to be the totals from your initial or most recent approved budget. So that column would go, those totals would go here in the approved budget. The revision amounts will be carried over from Form 2 and Form 3. For the budget revision Form R, it is okay to have negative numbers here. You are gonna, if other lines are being reduced, and for example, if the personnel line is being reduced and the agency is adding funds from the personnel and want to add funds to material and supplies, for example, then you are going to have a negative number under the revision column, but then it will have a positive number here in material supplies. The end result will still be 0. The revision portion will net to 0 because you're basically just moving dollar amounts from one line to another. It's not that you're adding or increasing the value of your allocated budget. The revised budget column, that is, will be the grant award amount that will be utilized and will be carried over to Form 1 for the grant award share column. So this revised budgeted will be what the delegate agency now wants to present as their as the final grant award share. So just wanted again, that's the biggest difference with Form 1R, where many of the questions come, where do I get the approved budget amounts from? This will be from either your initial or your most recent approved budget. And very important for Form 1R, it does require your signature on both forms. The delegate agency will be required to submit Form 1 and Form 1R when it comes to a budget revision. So please ensure that both pages do have the delegate authorization signature on Form 1 and Form 1R. For the most part, the error that we see with this particular page is, again, with the approved budget, and then some agencies just sign one form but not the other, and we have to kick it back to get the second signature. So just want to emphasize that. Again, more details for the budget revision, which I just went over, but again, everybody will have a copy of this form. Please ensure that when submitting for a budget revision, that the budget revision request letter is submitted to the program team. This budget revision letter, request letter, will identify exactly what changes are being made to the budget revision, or what changes are being requested for the budget revision. So this is just an example of the letter that is to be submitted along with your revised budget that you're proposing for. Most common budget errors, I stated some of them already as I went through the presentation, but again, the one thing that we do see on Form 3 is agencies do not always provide a detailed description under description and justification for total column. Just ensure that it fits within that cell and that the cells are not cut off. Under other 0.99, if the agency has a stipend, they need to include an attachment A to detail the cost of the stipends. Refrain from requesting equipment in the material and supplies line under the description. Equipment is defined as a single item with a unit cost, 5,000 or more, and it's not applicable to the youth division delegate agencies, so the equipment line should be blank. The indirect cost, again, it is up to 15% de minimis rate for the corporate budgets. For ARP, it is 10%. And this is just a brief calculation, a brief example of how the indirect cost is calculated. This is one of the areas where when we receive initial budgets, for the most part, this is definitely a common error. But if, just an example, if your delegate agency was receiving 50,000 as the corporate grant award share, then, and you are billing for or budgeting for the 15%, the maximum 15% administrate, then you would take the 50,000, divide that by the 1.15. This will provide you with the indirect cost. And this amount, multiply that by the 15%. The administrate will provide you with the indirect cost amount to be budgeted. The 6522 plus the 43,479 will be or 43,478 will be the 50,000 of the grant award share. And again, this is where the majority of the errors do come in with the indirect costs. So definitely very useful tool. For the indirect cost option, again, just ensure to click on the one that you are utilizing. It's either going to be A, B, C, or D. So please ensure to click on the one that's being requested. And if you are requesting to use federally approved negotiated rate, please provide a current copy with your submitted budget as stated previously. Most common budget revision errors, as I stated, Form 1, the approved budget column must be completed with the current original budget amount. Form 1 and Form 1A, agency should leave blank anything that has entered by department. Form 2 and Form 2A calculation box with fringes are often incorrect, so just ensure that they are correctly calculated. Missing fringe descriptions, like I stated earlier, in lines 21 and 22, just ensure that the description is entered, and then that will carry over if need be. And Form 2 and 2A, the agency has a specific employee name instead of the position title again. Definitely recommend just to have the title on there, just in case there is a change with the individual. The title doesn't change, but the individual may change. Office of Budget Management, policies and changes in trainings. This hasn't changed very much from our previous training a year ago, but I still wanted to include it in here. For PDFs, manual signatures are accepted, wet signatures are no longer required. Notary is no longer required. Signature authorizations, delegates will be required to inform the department when there are changes to authorized personnel. Budget revisions and budget amendments. The city will accept PDFs of manual signatures. Wet signatures are no longer required for budget revisions either. And then delegate departments are no longer required to request delegate agencies to submit a bank depository form or EFT form with each contract. Only new agencies or agencies requesting to change their bank account are required to complete the form. If you are completing the form for the EFT change or want to initiate EFT for your delegate agency, the form will be submitted to the Department of Finance. It won't be submitted back to DFSS. On the form, it does provide more details in regards to where the form should go if there are any questions. But just keep in mind that if an EFT form is submitted, it will not be forwarded back to your program liaison or to DFSS Finance. It will be going to the Department of Finance, and any questions in regards to the form definitely can be emailed to them as well. Here's an example or a schedule of the iSupplier training opportunities for those delegate agencies. iSupplier is the site that is used to submit the vouchering for those agencies that are rather new to some of the programs. There is a monthly training that does occur that provides detail in regards to how to complete the voucher. It is conducted by the voucher auditing team. The Vance team are the individuals that have the final audit of your voucher. And that's where it's decided which items are being rejected and deleted on a voucher. So definitely I would highly recommend, if agencies do have either newer staff to attend, this can also be used as a refresher as well. Or if there's any specific questions to vouchering, the Vance team is able to take questions as well toward the end of the training or as they're going through their training. But definitely, I highly recommend the training, and it can be found in the iSupplier website. as well. So you're able to click on it, and also resources that support the voucher training as well. And the submission of vouchers can be found in the iSupplier link. Now we're actually just gonna talk a little more about, just briefly about the vouchers, the budget revision. At this point, the budget revisions have been submitted, they've been approved. And now it's time to submit the vouchers. An agency submitting the first voucher. These are just some of the common areas that we see when the vouchers are submitted to DFSS for review. The invoice number will be your release number. So here at the bottom, please ensure this will not be your PO number. It will be the release number that is located on your approved budget. So please ensure that that's usually one of the first things that we look for. And the invoice number will have, so it will begin with with your release number. The second set of digits will be the year for the fiscal year. So in this case, it would be 25, and then your sequential number. If this is the first voucher that you're submitting for release number, in this particular example, 97430, even though it might be the month of April, you would still use 01 because it's the first voucher for the particular for this particular release number for this particular budget. The 01 doesn't reflect the month that it's being billed for. It's just the sequential number for the vouchers that is being submitted for the program for the approved budget. So if you are if your budget begins May 1st and this is the first voucher that you're submitting, it will be 01, not 05, for example. And the invoice date, again, this will be the date that is being submitted. Please ensure not to change this date or adjust this date. The invoice description. The invoice description will be the first date of the expenditure covered period and will end with the last date of the expenditure covered period for the specific voucher. You can put after the dates, you can put a brief acronym. So for example, if it's CHA, for example, if you're invoicing for CHA, if your program is CHA, then that's fine. You can put CHA after the date. The invoice description, this is one of the items that we do find more common that we have to reject as well, due to it being more of a not including the dates of expenditures. Sometimes it just has one date, for example, June 15th, 2019, for example. So just please ensure that it's the period covered for the items that are being billed for on this specific voucher. Very important here, date goods services received. Please ensure to use this calendar. This date should match the last date of the invoice description. Once the data is entered into iSupplier and the voucher is submitted, we're not able to make these changes within these fields or within the items that are within the fields that are being entered into iSupplier. So keep in mind that please ensure that this information is accurate. If the date goods service is received, in this example, if it's stated June 31st, again, I highly recommend using the calculator. But if it was entered for June 31st, this would be a rejection. We would have to reject it because it doesn't tie. So please ensure again, use this calculator and ensure that those match and the data in iSupplier when it's entered is accurate. If the Excel voucher, the attachment of the Excel document, if there are changes that are needed within the spreadsheet, that can be revised and the new version can be uploaded. But again, once items are entered into iSupplier, we're not able to make those changes. This is a document that was provided to us by the VANS team, by the voucher auditing team, for the support and documentation that is required when invoicing for personal salary or non-personnel. I won't go through it in very detail, but again, this will be located on the PowerPoint slideshow on the deck that you receive. You can definitely go through it in more detail. But these are again just some of the items that are allowable, unallowable, for the vouchering or the submission of your voucher. This is the second portion of it. Provides details for fringe benefits, what will need to be included in order for those to be approved. So just again, just very, very detailed and very helpful as well when vouchering. This is an example. If an agency received a deletion, you're always going to receive an auto deletion sheet. It basically lets the delegate agency know the reason for the deletion. So these are the many reasons, the many codes that are stated. For example, it can be item number 26, cost not incurred during contract period. And this is one that is very common when we see when it's the first month of the year that is being vouchered for. So if your budget started January 1st, we do see some items from for example, from December of the previous year that are included with the January voucher. In that particular case, those December expenses were not incurred during this specific contract period. So they will reject, delete those expenses, and then you'll have more detailed information on the deletion sheet. And they will also provide, for the most part, that is, they may provide a snapshot of the item that they're referring to, and possibly maybe the approved budget as well, to verify again that if the item isn't on the approved budget and a delegate agency is vouchering for it, then it may be deleted. It may be a rejection. But again, just wanted to make everyone at least a little familiar with the deletion sheet. And the deletion sheet will be located in iSupplier as well, along with you're able to review your paid and unpaid vouchers at that point. Important deadlines. So we are getting close to the end here. So some of the important deadlines for the summer programs and enrichment. So August 1st, please submit all final budget revisions to your program liaison. So August 1st will be the deadline for the budget revisions. September 16th, the relinquishment forms. Please forward those. DFSS, I'm sorry. DFSS will be forwarding those relinquishment forms to the agencies. And we do expect those relinquishment forms back to your program liaison by September 30th. Also, submit all final delegate agency invoices for 2025 by September 30th if possible. Definitely very would like to encourage those final delegate agencies daily invoices, that is, for the annual funded budgets, for the budgets ending starting January 1st and ending December 31st, or starting February 1st and ending January 31st of 2026. Those budget revisions, the budget revision deadline for those will be September 30th to your program liaison, and submit all final agency invoices for 2025 by January 15th. Definitely toward the end of the year, that's where the a bulk of the vouchers are submitted, of course, to ensure that they're submitted for the program budget. But as a reminder, please ensure to submit your vouchers on a monthly basis, so that this way, when it comes to the end of the year, you'll only be worrying about just a couple of the vouchers that still need to be submitted. For the year-end vouchers, do not combine 2 calendar years in one voucher. So very important, I know, for some of the My Shine My Future programs that go through January 31st. Please ensure that your expenses for December 2025 are not on the same voucher as expenses from January 2026. Thank you very much for your time. I do understand this was definitely a lot of information. So definitely this deck will be shared with everyone. I'm not sure if there's any questions or anything at this point, but definitely I appreciate everyone's time and participation.
Thanks, Antonio. Folks can go off mute or raise your hand if you do have a specific question at this point. We did have a couple of questions for just in general that we were able to answer in the chat. So If anyone has any other questions, this is the time. And yes, we will be sharing these slides along with any questions that were asked and responded to during this time. So great. I don't see anything in the chat, so thank you for your time. I'm going to stop the recording now.